Build Your Business listeners. This is Matt Reynolds, your host for the podcast, and you are listening to what we are calling the legacy episodes. And really, these are the pre-episodes that really led to this podcast, the Build Your Business podcast. This is really my life's work and my brother's life's work in building your business. And so they were originally published in the Barbell Logic podcast as part of the Principles or Coaching Success series, but really touch on similar topics to the Build Your Business podcast: how to improve your productivity, how to set and accomplish your goals, deprioritize urgent tasks, to focus on what is most important to you, and most importantly, to become a better person and leader and business owner overall. I'm proud to bring you these podcasts. Again, many years of life's work, several years of podcasts, and several decades of business ownership. Hope you enjoy them and learn from them. You're listening to Barbell Logic,
the podcast where we talk about what it means to experience strength
and how you can use simple, hard, and effective strategies in training and nutrition to improve your life.
It starts with meeting you where you are right now and finding lasting solutions.
Welcome to the show. You're listening to the Barbell Logic podcast. This is another coaching success series. I'm your host, Matt Reynolds. Hey, Merry Christmas, everybody. Hope you had a wonderful Christmas. So I'm hoping everything went well for you and for me. And I want to dive right in today because we want to know how to prioritize on the stuff that's actually going to move the needle, right? And the first step of prioritization is to not prioritize, is to deprioritize. And this really is a lesson I've learned over the years. Pulling weeds is incredibly satisfying. Not literally pulling weeds. I don't want to go do that. But in the business, in life, right? Because when we pull weeds, when we recognize the things that are less important and often urgent and feel like they're weighing us down, and we take a look at that, it forces us to identify what is in fact really important and what will really move the needle and what doesn't. So before you actually start to focus on the stuff that matters, you pull the weeds on the stuff that doesn't. Deprioritize, so that we take that list, that massive to-do list, and we pull out all the crap that's been just sitting there for several months, and we're left with only truly important tasks. And so it's incredibly satisfying. So I'm going to tell some really recent personal stories. A lot of times I'll tell personal stories or anecdotes on this podcast of lessons I've learned over the years. I'll tell a few of those today as well. But this has been an interesting season for us. An amazing year, probably the best year of my life. I used to say 2019 was the worst year of my life and 2020 was the best. 2023 topped it for us for sure. And there's lots of reasons for that. And I'm sure we'll get into that some. Keep a lookout for that. But here's the thing. So practically, one of the things that I do on a daily basis is I keep a to-do list on my notepad on my iPhone. And some of you probably do this. And if you don't do it on your iPhone or with an Android or use a written notebook or whatever, I have this running to-do list, right? And every morning I get up and I change the title of the to-do list is the day and the date. So, it's Wednesday, January 20th. Tomorrow I get up and it's Thursday, whatever, January 24th. I don't know if those are the right days, but you get the idea. So it's the day of the week and the date. And I actually, in that notepad, you can actually set up checklists. So you can actually create. So when you complete something, you check it off. And I've got it set up. You can do this on the iPhone where when you check it off, it moves it to the bottom of the list. So then everything kind of moves up. And then each morning I get up, I take a few minutes, first thing in the morning, right after I take the dog out and make my cup of coffee before I do online coaching or anything. And I look at my to-do list for the day. I look at my calendar. I lay out my calendar for the day and the to-do list for the day. What you'll notice is over time, what I'll do is rather than making a new to-do list every day, I take the same to-do list and I just update the title and put the stuff for that day and carry over the stuff from the previous day on the to-do list. And what you'll find is over a few weeks or a few months, the bottom 20 things just stay the bottom 20 things and never get checked off the list, which is a really good way to say that they're probably not that important, right? And so one of the things that I do recently, and we'll talk about this shortly, is I had to deprioritize this stuff. I had to start a new to-do list. It's so satisfying because you go from like 50 things on your list to like 11 things on your list. because you realize these are the things that actually move the needle, right? And so the first time I recognized this, and I've told this story before on the podcast, was when this is way back in, I think, 2017. The business was a year old. We had this massive expansion in December of 16. I was in, I don't know, March or April of 17, somewhere in there. I think I was down in Florida, and I was still running payroll. I was still doing, we were an employee group of one. It was me and 1099 coaches. Had, I don't know, 30 or 40 coaches working for us at the time. And I'm doing payroll on the beach, and I'm like, I hate this. What am I doing? Why am I doing this? I'm the guy paying the payroll, right? Like, I own 100% of the business, and the business was growing like crazy, which is great. But that meant the payroll was growing like crazy, which was not as fun. And I just wanted to get hit with the number. At the end of payroll, like, just tell me what my damage is, And so as I'm doing payroll, there's formulas in the Excel spreadsheet, and I'm seeing the bottom number continue to go up, and it's just like painful. I hate it, So I'm thinking to myself, like, why am I doing payroll? I own the company. I wasn't really a CEO at the time because there wasn't such a thing. Because again, it's employee of one, but I'm the founder, owner, whatever. And so I delegated that out because I'm like, yeah, payroll's important. It is an important thing. You got to make sure you pay your staff. But I didn't need to be the one doing the thing. And so immediately I hired a service to start to do that. And it took that off my plate. And so then I started to realize, like, payroll went from being 2 hours a month, because at the time we just paid once a month. Now we have employees. We run a bunch of payrolls during the month. The time is just once a month, but it went from like 2 hours to 4 hours to 8 hours to 10 hours. Like, now I'm doing payroll for 10 hours. And I'm thinking, like, why am I doing this? Why would I not pay somebody else to do this and delegate this out? And, this is really before I had probably really dove in on the urgent versus the important and the Eisenhower matrix and things we talked about before. But once I got that off my plate, it was like a breath of fresh air. I was able to pull that weed. And so when you're able to identify the things that are actually on your list and you're like, yeah, I need to do them, but you start to think about, like, they're not really going to move the needle, and you pull the weeds, it's like this incredible burden lifted off your shoulders. And so before you prioritize and think about what the most important things are, get rid of the unimportant things. Like, just kick them to the curb, like, at least for a while. So, like, maybe down the road we'll do this. This doesn't mean I'm never going to do it, but it is not important right now. And it feels urgent, and it's making me feel like I'm drowning and I can't breathe, and there's a weight on my chest. And so you got to deprioritize that stuff. You've got to start to pull weeds. And then so that that this is not just what Matt did in 2017. This year has been an insane year, an incredible year, tons of growth, Series A raise, all kinds of fun stuff. But we had our mission control meeting last week, with my kind of top C-suite. And I kept it to goals only, no actions, no individual tasks of things that need to be done. And there were 28 things on the list. 28 are all pretty important, but don't all have to get done right now. And so we walked through those as a mission control team, and I had to take a spoonful of my own medicine and practice what I preach and decide, okay, what weeds are we pulling right now? This is not to say that this stuff is never going to get done. It's to say it's not going to get done in January. What are the things that we have to get done in January to move the needle? And so, I'll give you a few of these. I'm not going to read every one of these because obviously some of them are internal, but I kind of pulled up the list. We meet as a mission control team twice a year in person. And of course, our business is all over the world, and certainly all over the United States. And so the 4 mission control team, we get together twice a year in late January to meet for our early 2024 meetings. And we look at strategy deployment, which is really like the focus, like, where are we going to put our efforts this year in 2024 and shift some of those strategic priorities around. That needs to be done, but that doesn't have to be done until we meet in January, right? We've got to hire new positions because of the Series A. We've got to update our org chart. Well, some of those things, like some of those jobs could be posted in the new year, but we don't have to actually discuss and hire those until we meet. Org chart update doesn't even make sense until we get those things hired. And so we can kick those down to the end of January or beginning of February, right? So we've created a new systems manual for the employees and the coaches and making sure those things are in place. Got a book deal, have a book coming out. I won't say who it's through yet or anything, but eventually book deal is going on. So in the process of writing an important book. The Q4 report is going to have to come out in early January. That's super important. We've got investors now and a board of directors, making sure the board of directors is properly set up and everything's where it needs to be. Prep for the mission control meetings in January, the final Series A push is in January. Get that closed to make sure everything is well done. I've got a handful of pitches and presentations to do over the next couple weeks in that final kind of push for the close. That's all company-wide stuff. And then we get into specific services and priorities. You look at TKC, and we've got hires that we're making there. We're looking at the podcast tours that we're doing for TKC, email campaigns, cleaning up onboarding processes for new coaches and clients, things going on obviously in the background with the military and government contracts, and doing what we're supposed to do and securing new contracts and making sure we do well and keep up with our contractual obligations on the current contracts that we have. We have all sorts of holiday promotions and New Year's promotions for the Academy, an update on principles, things like that. And then Block has got a ton of stuff like sales strategies for Block. And again, holiday promotions from Christmas, through early New Year's, nurturing leads. We've got a couple TV shows we're going to be on. I'm sure we'll announce that soon if we haven't already. Some TV shows, some big, giant, at least national, not international TV shows that have chosen to feature us. So all sorts of stuff, right? So there's tons of stuff on there. And it just can't all get done at once. And it feels like suffocating. It feels suffocating. So if that's you in the new year and you think like, here's all this stuff, and you start to think about New Year's resolutions, not just for your personal life, but for your business life, and you're like, here's all this stuff I have to do. I would tell you, pick out the top 3, 4, 5 things, and that's the thing you focus on. Now, that doesn't mean you're not going to get to the rest of that stuff this year. It means you're not going to get to the rest of that stuff in the first quarter, probably. So we deprioritize, we pull the weeds, right? I had to practice what I preach. And so I had this long to-do list. I check off the things on the to-do list every day. As I check them off, they go to the bottom of the list. And then that list carries over to the next day. It was time for a new list. So it was time to not stop carrying over the old list, but time to make the new to-do list with the stuff that actually mattered, that would actually move the needle, right? And that's really important. Now, here's a little bit of a sidebar here. I've noticed that Instagram culture, and probably all social media culture, but definitely Instagram culture, it often, like, if you follow a lot of these like business people and entrepreneurs, by the way, if I haven't already said it, I hate serial entrepreneurs. I hate serial entrepreneurs. There is no such thing as a successful serial entrepreneur. I know, stay out of my DMs and my email. I'm sure you'll find the exception to the rule. I'm sure there's a few, but there's not very many, right? IG culture tells us that we have to have all these multiple revenue streams. And that could not be more wrong. That's asinine, right? You make the thing. Get rid of the side hustles, right? I own one business. It's Barbell Logic. That's what I do. I'm growing Barbell Logic. I have really good connections where I could buy rental properties and flip houses, or buy real estate and flip houses or turn them into rental properties, either short-term or long-term, or flip them. I've got tons of guys in construction. I got the financing to be able to do that. I've always wanted to own, I think I could do a really efficient, like a lawn mowing and lawn treating and green lawn type service. I think I could do that well. There's all kinds of stuff that I've thought about before that I could do. But like, nope, none of that's getting done because my job is Barbell Logic. One day, maybe I'll sell this business and I can think about what the next thing is to do. And people ask me all the time, like, what will you do? What are you talking about? I've never even thought about it because this is the thing. Make the thing the thing. Get rid of the side hustles and the menial tasks, right? If you're doing multi-level marketing bullshit, get rid of it. That is crap. Stop selling the supplements on the side. Stop that stuff, right? And when I say multiple revenue streams, I'm not talking about multiple revenue streams in your coaching practice. Like, of course, get multiple revenue streams in your coaching practice. Again, you can see we've moved from business to consumer, Barbell Logic online coaching, into business to business, turnkey coach, into the government sector. We also have the academy in our educational sector. So we have 4 primary revenue streams in our business. And so if you're a gym owner and you are struggling to have tremendous net profit, if you're not 6 figures a year in your business ownership, and you're probably not because most don't, you should be adding online coaching to the coaching business that you run. Don't go out and start another business. Don't do a side hustle. Don't buy a car wash. By the way, I think car washes are great. I think laundromats are great. They make all kinds of money. That's not what we do. If you want to do that, stop coaching and go do that. But if you're going to coach, coach. So absolutely wreck, crush in-person coaching, online coaching, all of that stuff in your sphere, and crush that and get rid of all the other side hustle crap. I don't know if you noticed, I couldn't care less about selling retail for Barbell Logic. We sell it. You can go on the website and buy some t-shirts. Buy some of that stuff. Markups low on that stuff. That's free advertising for us. We give half those shirts away for free to staff and clients over time. So half of it gets given away for free. In the end, it's like a break even. We don't make any money off that stuff. But like if people want to wear your logo, okay, that's a good marketing thing. And if it's basically break even, it's fine. But like we're not a retail company. We don't sell content. Content's free. Like we make the content for free because it drives coaching service signups with clients, with coaches for Turnkey Coach. We do the work that we have to do to land the government contracts. Certainly the academy is something that's, I guess, an education piece that's got a price point to it, but like we're helping build professional coaches of the future at a nominal cost. And so we make the thing. And so you pull the weeds, get rid of the distractions, and focus on the thing that matters. And focusing on the thing that matters doesn't start with focusing on the thing that matters. It starts with pulling the weeds, the crap that doesn't. So start this new year off right by pulling the weeds of the crap that doesn't actually matter. I own one business. That's it. I am not a serial entrepreneur. Don't even call me an entrepreneur. I'm a business owner. I've owned 2 businesses in my life for 17 years now. One for 7, 8 years, another one for 8.5 years. In another year and a half, I'll pass over the 10-year mark on this business. That's the business. And so in that business that I own, in Barbell Logic Inc., I have to constantly deprioritize and pull weeds so that we can focus on the thing that really matters. I don't want to spend much of my time worried about the real estate business that I also own. For those of you who are on some level, you've made some money in this life and you're fairly successful, there are lots of things you can do to set up trusts and start real estate businesses and make your wife run that kind of stuff and whatever, all that kind of okay. But I'm not doing that while I'm running Barbell Logic because I know who's going to shoulder the bulk of the work. I'm not going to be distracted by those things. Everything we do is the important stuff that helps grow Barbell Logic, serve our clients well, teach our community, and steward our resources well. That's what we do. That's who we are. And that's what you have to do. So we focus on the thing that really matters by pulling the weeds of the things that don't. So if I get rid of, coming back to the Eisenhower matrix that I love so much, if I get rid of the non-urgent, non-important stuff, I purge it from my life. There's no video game systems in my home. Notifications are completely turned off on social media, right? I'm not addicted to porn and, I don't binge watch Netflix and whatever other things that you could possibly do that are just not urgent, not important. That stuff doesn't exist in my life. I delegate or automate the urgent, non-important tasks, right? And we're at a point now, the business is big enough that we can mostly automate that stuff, the urgent, non-important tasks. I focus on efficiency, Pomodoros, 25 minutes of, 30 minutes, whatever, totally undistracted work, hyper-focused, right? On the urgent, important stuff. So hyper-focus and efficiency on the urgent, important stuff. Also, my company is big enough, I can also trust my team, especially the leadership team, to handle many of these things as well, the urgent and important stuff. I don't have to handle all the urgent and important stuff. I have my own urgent and important stuff that's urgent and important for Barbell Logic that only I can do. But the stuff that I can delegate out to incredible leadership team members like Nikki Sims and Andrew Jackson and Josh Veach and Dan and Nick and Nikki Berman and CJ for the Academy, trust them. You've hired great people. For those of you that are that far along, trust the team to do the thing. That allows me, it frees me up to enjoy the things that I do best in work, which honestly is casting vision, selling, talking to investors, being on podcasts. That's me, right? That's what I love to do. I love to cast the vision of the company, talk about the value propositions for both the clients and the coach. That's the thing that I do best at in business. And then also enjoy and spend as much time as possible in the things that I'm called to do that are the most important things in my life, which is my family, my faith, and my fitness, right? Those things. I'm going to take care of my nutrition. I'm working towards longevity. I lost 60 pounds in 2023. I want to spend good time with my family, quality time with my family. I want to spend time in my spiritual disciplines. Whatever that is for you, you want to free up your time to do that. And you can't do that if you've got a to-do list. It's got 75 things on it, right? So we focus on the things that matter the most, right? We purge and pull the weeds, the things that don't. And we efficiently work at the things that are both urgent and important. It's that simple. You buy back your time by deprioritizing. I had a conversation with a guy the other day. This is the last story I'll tell of the day, where, I said, look, we've been pretty successful in business and life. And again, I live in Springfield, Missouri, and the cost of living is pretty low. And so I drive a 2012 Tundra with 153,000 miles on it. I can go buy a brand new car. I go buy it in cash. New truck. I'm not going to, right? I'm like, I say that maybe one day I will. Maybe at some point I will. And you'll be like, you lied. You bought a new, but I probably won't, because I would rather spend my money buying back my time, right? I pay my kids. I got an 18-year-old daughter. She puts gas in the car and she washes the car and she goes and gets groceries. Listen, if you're still going grocery shopping in 2024, you're crazy. It's like $10 a month at Walmart to get your, and every grocery store has this option. Get your groceries delivered. You won't make impulse purchases. You'll get on and figure out what you need. You do your meal plan for the week. You order the stuff. It shows up at your house the next morning. Why would you ever go grocery shopping again, right? So you deprioritize. You buy back your time. So that's a cheap $10 a month plus a tip to a driver. That's what I'm going to pay for grocery shopping. By the way, I'm going to save way more than that money because I'm going to do some impulse buying if I'm walking around a Walmart Supercenter or Costco or a Sam's or whatever the thing is. So we buy back our time. We've got a housekeeper that comes on Mondays. She's cheap. She's great. 62-year-old lady. Does a great job cleaning the house. Buying back the time, right? I don't need to clean my floors. We keep a neat house. We keep a picked up house. Now, I realize not everybody has the opportunity to do all of these things, but you can certainly start to look at this in the new year and go, where can you buy back your time? I would far rather spend money buying back my time. By the way, there's a good book by Dan Martell. It's actually called that, Buy Back Your Time. Dan Martell's I don't know. He's kind of a businessy Alex Hormozy type. If you haven't looked him up on Instagram and stuff, we've interacted some and chatted back and forth a few times. This is a good dude, good book. Buy back your time is key. Why would I spend $100,000 on a new truck if I could take just a small percentage of that money and buy back my time? Never go grocery shopping again. Never mow my lawn again. Somebody else can mow my lawn, right? Never go put gas in my cars again. Never wash my cars again. Never go to the post office or mailboxes too that we go to send shipping. Like, I can pay somebody to do that. By the way, you can pay somebody to do that. You don't have to be the CEO of a company the size of Barbell Logic. Your time is more valuable than that. Deprioritize. You should be tracking your time in 15 or 30-minute intervals every single day, which is really the core of the book of Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell, and figure out where you're spending your time and then focus on the things that actually matter and move the needle and pull the weeds on the stuff that don't, right? So either get rid of the non-urgent, non-important stuff, delegate or automate the urgent, non-important stuff, efficiently focus and knock out the urgent and important stuff via Pomodoros and undistracted work. Lock yourself in a room, turn off your phone, turn off your notifications, knock it out so that the bulk of your time is spent in the things that are the most important, but often the least urgent. Again, family, faith, training, strength training, exercising, like whatever that is, spiritual disciplines type stuff, and the most important things in your business. My time is best spent when I am operating as the owner and CEO of this business and not the technician in this business, or not a manager in this business, or not micromanaging in this business, which is hideous and awful. And so spend your time in this first week or two of January, not prioritizing, but deprioritize. What needs to come off the to-do list? Start a new to-do list this week. Only get rid of the stuff that doesn't matter, pull those weeds first, and then only put the stuff that actually moves the needle on the list, and watch how successful 2024 will be for you. That is another episode of Coaching Success Series on the Barbell Logic podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Man, it would be a huge benefit to us if you give us a 5-star review. We are so thankful for those of you who've done that. If you haven't done that or haven't done that in a while, we'd love another 5-star review. Say a couple nice words, hit enter. It takes 30 seconds or less, probably 10 seconds or less. Really helps us in the algorithm on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and whatnot. And so thanks. I got a little heated this morning. That's okay. It's good. Excited to crush 2024. Hope you guys are too. Got lots of fun stuff coming in 2024 on the podcast, not just me. Gonna start having some guests on the podcast to share some of their wisdom and learn lots of great lessons in 2024. So I hope you'll stay with us through that. And I'll see you next Friday.